So he would feel, oh my God, I only have an hour. And then he would force trades that weren't there. So that's a mindset issue, scarcity thinking around time. When he had to pick up the kids from school, again, it would be like, oh my God, I don't have enough time. Again, he would force his trades.
Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm sitting down with Mandi Pour Rafsendjani. We haven't spoken in a while. Mandi, it's been a long time. We usually do these lives every couple of weeks, usually on YouTube. So I want to ask you some questions about psychology, mindset, things people can learn in terms of becoming better traders by mastering their mindset and their psychology. So let's begin with maybe introduce yourself a little bit, tell people who you are and what you do in the market.
Yeah, so thank you so much for inviting me back, Etienne. It's been a while indeed. And as you can imagine, we all go through daily growth, right? So we always look for new podcasts or new trainers who come on the scene and learn from them. Like, for example, James Clear's work was, a game changer in the trading industry as well. So you can imagine over the last few years, there has been lots of new insights and learnings, and also with the markets being so interesting and changing. So again, it's going to be an epic conversation on a different level than a few years ago. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I mostly trade the DAX. And when time permits, because of the time difference, I trade the Dow as well. Just the opening of the US session, and that's pretty much it. I have been lately involved in a project called the Trading Battle, where you also participated and won, and also you were the host a few times. You did an amazing job. So that has been so interesting and so much fun seeing different traders trading live and then having a chat with them beforehand and after the session, after the battle. Again, so many questions I could ask and get new insights and understandings. And what really makes a difference between the high performing traders and the traders who are struggling continuously.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And we had a pretty crazy market the past few days, especially today, the day before that, with some Fed announcement. I want to hear like what are some things that traders struggle with in these times? Is it more they miss out on some moves, or is it more they get too impulsive, or does it depend like each person? And then how can we kind of adapt and use that to our advantage?
I found this really interesting because I saw a few people on Twitter with bigger accounts saying, what's the biggest problem you're dealing with in this market? And everybody came back with not cutting my losses, not daring to take the trade because I got burnt before. And Martin getting into losing positions. So standard answers, right? What we have been hearing for hundreds of years. Now, I thought, okay, let's look at it from a different perspective. And I asked, what is it that you battle most with these markets from a technical perspective? Etienne, I got two people answering. And that was a real mind eye opener for me, because what it seems is that traders can articulate their feelings, being in fear and greed and FOMO, but they can't articulate from a technical skill level what the problem is. Now, from my own experience, and thank God I have been through a few of those markets. So this market, I was actually acing it since the beginning of 2022, because I have trained it, because I have been there before, because I kind of knew what to expect and how to manage myself, how to manage my positions, the risk management, and how to manage this market. So that was all experience and training, my experience, and also working tremendously on my mindset, as working on my discipline, doing ice baths, running up the stairs, even though I have a lift, and whatever I can do to train and practice my discipline on a daily level, on a daily scale, I do. Right? So I'm working on all levels. Now, the biggest challenges I see in the markets when I work with my traders one-on-one, so I forgot to mention that I'm a performance coach, which includes working on the trader's mindset as well as working on the trader's statistics or performance statistics, and then looking at, based on your statistics, where are the greatest areas and probabilities and possibilities for improvement, so that you can become the trader that you never thought possible. Like, you can perform beyond your wildest dreams. because I can tell you this is possible for everyone. I've seen it so many times. Now, the biggest challenges were the massive moves, right? The massive swings, and traders not adjusting their risk management. And I think I saw you talk to someone else about this before, and it would be awesome to get your perspective on that as well, in how to resolve it and how to manage it, technically speaking. Because that's not a mindset problem. Traders say, oh, I have fear and FOMO. Yeah, but your risk management is out of whack because what happened last year and what worked last year is not working this year. So when we look at the candles, they overlap a lot, right? So just a 1 minute candle, there is rarely an open higher, close higher, open higher, close, an orderly impulse. It's like green candle, red candle, green candle, red candle, daily or 1 minute. It's the same pattern, and that freaks people out. So they need to adjust their risk management and practice that. The second challenge I see for traders is dealing with a lack of liquidity, and the lack of liquidity obviously makes for massive moves. You saw the closing candle of the Dow, sorry, not the closing candle, at 10 to. It's really interesting. Sometimes at quarter to 4, sometimes at 10 to 4, the algos kick in. And today it was at 10 to 4, and you really see the change in price behavior. And you could see the first candle at 350 when the algos kicked in was, I think, a 100-point candle on the 1 minute. Right? So these massive moves, it's really hard to manage your stops and manage your risk. Now, for us who can trade on MT4, we can put in small positions. It's easy. But traders who trade on the real futures market, and where one S&P point is 25 US dollars, that's a killer. Or the Dow is 10 US dollars. So that's a killer for those guys. The third challenge I see with traders is they have been trained to buy the dip for years and years and years. And now to get that old habit out of their system is really hard. And we see, even I posted, it was like a 3 push down, but the third push wasn't confirmed as yet, right? So we had one flush down, really taking out all the stop losses and then coming right back up and then rallying after FOMC. The setups that worked last year are not working this year anymore. And that's a new experience for most traders. Now, you and I, who have been through those markets, we know that if a bullish setup fails, that in itself is a bearish trade. And we have trained ourselves to be nimble. We have trained ourselves to um, go short when the long has failed. So being really flexible. And I think that's another problem that traders are facing. They are not flexible enough, right? They get into a position doesn't work out, and then they get like paralyzed. They get just all stiff, like like an armchair, right? There's nothing moving anymore, and we have to be so flexible and nimble at the moment. Now that again can be trained. And one more challenge that I see with more the longer term traders. So my fixed income trader, who is a phenomenal trader, right, prop trader over New York, makes 6 figures a month, but he's very seasoned, right? He's like late 50s, and he analyzed the fixed income market correctly, but because last year the nature of the markets, he had to keep trading shorter term trades, and then he missed his entry for the big long term trade. And then when he missed the entry, you could argue, well, why didn't he get back in? Well, because then the risk management is out of whack. You can't just say, well, I missed my entry, now I jump in, because where do you put your stop loss, your money management? And if you trade on that big scale, it's, triple, 10 times harder. So these are only some of the challenges that I see traders facing in these changed market behaviors.
I want to go back to something you said in the very beginning, which is about these daily discipline habits. You mentioned on a daily basis you do these ice bath, and like you do these routines to be disciplined in trading and of course in like other things in life in general. Now, what would you tell someone who says like, I just want to follow my plan, I just need to follow it and take the right trades. I don't need the ice bath, I don't need the journaling. It's like a waste of time. I just need to be able to follow my plan now. How do you react to that? What are some things they have to do to be able to get there?
These are just the disciplined behaviors I choose, because I want to do something that really rocks my boat. I love ice baths. I love coming down through the door from in my apartment building and fighting with myself. Come on, you can take the elevator today. You have been working so hard in the gym. And I'm like, no, you take the stairs. Oh, come on, it's okay. No, you take the stairs. Right, the fight. And then going and take the stairs. I love that. Now, someone else, and that would be for them, they meditate. The challenge of meditating is what helps them to be disciplined. For me, meditation doesn't rock my boat. It bores me and it's a waste of time for me. Now, when someone is naturally already disciplined, they don't need to do these behavioral reinforcement trainings. I'm not a disciplined person. I grew up as a very free spirited person and just doing whatever I felt like. Now, that was great growing up, right? And I had a lot of freedoms, but I never learned to be disciplined. And that really worked against me in my life because discipline, is one of the key um, um, traits that help people to succeed anywhere in life. Now, you can see the difference between my discipline training and other people's discipline training is that I combine discipline with inspiration. Right? So my discipline comes from wanting to do this and not forcing me to do things that I really don't want to do. It's still hard to do an ice bath, I can tell you that. So it's still hard running up the stairs, but that is more fun for me. And I want to come from a place of inspiration and motivation when taking my losses, when training and practicing to be disciplined in my trading. Why do I want to be disciplined? Because 90% of traders, they don't do that work that I do in terms of, practicing to be disciplined so that they can be disciplined in their trading. And I look at myself, and it's very self-indulgent, but who cares? It works for me like a hero, right? So I'm the 1% who does what is painful because I take my loss, or I manage myself around risk management, and I take pride in that. So it becomes my inspiration, my motivation for wanting to be disciplined, and that takes us to the conversation around self-image. And so, who do I want to be? What lifestyle do I want to live? I want to live the lifestyle of a disciplined person. Why? Because I love it. Now, you will notice I don't show discipline in eating chocolates because I love chocolates. I'm not going to take that away from myself, but I balance it out with other disciplines. Like I don't eat cakes. I don't like cakes. They don't rock my boat. I don't eat a whole block of chocolate, but a piece, like one little row of chocolates. So that is what I would ask then my trader: where in your life are you disciplined that you then can translate into your trading, or are you ill-disciplined everywhere in your life and then you're doomed in your trading? So giving them a reality check and also context reframe, as we call it in coaching, saying, what is it that you really want? Who do you want to be? Is that the kind of person you want to be? A slop in your trading, a trading slop.
One thing I realized over the past couple of years is that it's really hard to change someone's self-image of themselves. Like someone who's been losing the market for many years, it's really hard to get them to kind of flip this around to become winning in trading. Like they could have a couple of winning trades, like a winning run or something, but it's really hard to sustain that for them because they have this bad self-image of they still lose money in the market over time. How do you kind of flip this around for someone? How do you make the change of having them, first of all, see themselves as good traders, but also them having good results in trading?
I love that question, Etienne. And that's why I think all the navel gazing into, looking at your fears and greed, and that's just a surface level. Even looking at, how do you create losses? Yes, that work needs to be done, but it's not the solution. So because it's all the core self-image, right? That's where it all starts. And when you work the core, all the other symptoms like fear, greed, etc., they fall away. So how would I start working with a trader? I do that every day with my working traders because I tell you, most traders who come to me, they have these self-image problems. They know how to trade. but it's their self-image that interferes with it. And I used to be like that, to be honest, as well. So I used to have the self-image of I am a trader who can't take her losses. And because I thought this is who I am, that's of course all in the unconscious. Of course, my little ego was doing everything to make me right. And then I didn't take my losses. And so it starts with a conversation where you say, where you listen to your self-talk. And the self-talk around taking loss, I'm just thinking what it used to be for me, because such a long time ago, it would be something like, oh man, here I go again. I'm just watching my loss getting bigger and bigger, and I can't press that mouse button. Now, with that self-talk, I'm just reinforcing what I'm doing. I'm not changing, not challenging me to change to create a new future. It all starts with, for me, with identifying the self-talk. So for example, I worked with a trader yesterday. He wouldn't take his profits. So he has the best setups. Like, this guy knows how to pick setups. But then the trade would go up and would go all the way, especially right now with the volatility, all the way back down, take him out. And so we went on trading sim yesterday and looked at, I said to him, show me how you trade, because the first time I worked with him. And that exactly happened. I love trading sim, by the way. It's the best. And really a shortcut for traders to perform really quickly and learn and practice their skill, especially in the markets that we have right now. The trade, he was up $1,200. So we recreated exactly the environment that he trades on. He was up $1,200. And then he just let it peter out. The trade turned around and he got out at $25 profit because he had moved the stop loss to break even. And I said to him, what did you say to yourself to justify letting that trade all the way back into break even? And he said, well, I always say to myself, what if I get out now and it was just a little retracement and then it keeps going all the way up without me, which happened to him many times. And so there was actually a reason why he thought that. It was his experience. And so, but you can see how self-defeating that is. Now, there were two topics for me. Number one, this guy does not know how to distinguish between a reversion, just a retracement, or a reversal. So that was a skill that we need to train and practice with him. Money management, risk management. So if you're $1,200 in profit, have a hard stop. Say, if it goes to $500 profit, I take my money and run, because I need $500 a day in order to be able to live off my trading. And then he said, but then I feel so bad because I could have made $5,000. And said, well, if you could have, you would have. The reason that you didn't tells me that you couldn't have. So now go on live market replay, retrade that, and figure out what it is that you need to learn in order to be the trader that can take the $5,000 profit. So the second part, of course, was his mindset in the self-defeating thought of, what if it goes all the way down and then takes off without me? Why does it even matter? It doesn't, right? So that's scarcity thinking. And now I'm looking at this life experience, and look at where in his life does he experience scarcity? Where did he experience a massive loss, a loss of a person, a financial loss? So it turns out that he was a refugee. His family, so when he was little, immigrated to USA, but not by their own choice. They had to leave that country. And so you can see that was a traumatic experience for him. Doesn't need to be, but it was for him. That's then what I work with him to heal and help him change his thinking. So to become really aware of the lies that we are telling ourselves, because what if it goes, $5,000 without me, and then feeling bad about yourself? So that's the self-image part again. It's a lie. So challenge your thoughts. And the third part, Etienne, I work with is what a lot of traders do is they describe their problems. They say, I'm frustrated. I get frustrated because I missed this trade, and then I go on tilt. So that is I am talk, self-image talk. And then I train them to change that to creating a new future rather than describing the past and the present. It's by the challenge I'm looking to overcome is the habit of martingaling into losing positions. I want to learn how to stop doing that and how to do it differently. So stop martingaling to losing positions, but lose and taking my loss and then looking for a new great entry because there's always new entries. Now, so you can see now I transformed the language from describing the past and the present behavior into describing a new future behavior that I want to work into. And you know how our brain works, right? The plasticity of the brain is just epic. Now your brain goes into the Google machine of your brain into solution focused, right? Finding solutions to that problem. Whereas when you describe, I am a trader who martingales into losers and I can't be successful, then your brain, of course, keeps going looking for where are you a loser? Where do you repeat that same behavior again? And your ego kicks in and wants to confirm that you're right. And then the unconscious recreating automatic behaviors kick in. So 4 steps basically.
I really love these tests or these profiles that kind of put you into one category that you are like you are this thing and you cannot ever change it. You just talk about plasticity, so I want to hear like what are some things that you can change versus cannot really change in trading, and how do you sort of deal with that?
As you know, I love the disk profile and also studied Myers-Briggs recently because Myers-Briggs gives us a lot of other insights. And you are absolutely right. When I ask my traders to do the profiles and send it to me, they go into meltdown. Oh my God, I'm this kind of person. I will never make it. And then I say, no, this is not who you are. These are the behaviors you have trained yourself and most probably been trained and conditioned when you were growing up to do. So this is the only reason why we did this test, so that we can unearth it. And only if we know what is the behavior that is getting you into trouble, then we can look at changing that behavior. But if we don't know what it is, then we can't change anything. So if you're someone who, for example, high eyes in the disk profile, they're very feeling driven, but they're not really interested in thinking like the high Ds. Now, when I see someone with a high I profile, I don't say to them, oh, you're doomed. I say, right, so we can use your feeling, your kinesthetic um, superpowers for intuitive trading. I know a lot of traders who trade very intuitive, but what we now add to that is the high D of facts and figures, right? And that's what you're so great at, looking at your statistics, looking at your performance figures, and then finding out where the areas of improvement are. And we can also add the ability of the high Cs of being very structured and organized in their thinking. Because high Is, because they're so feeling driven, often are unstructured. And they have to learn to be structured. Might not be fun, but well, they need to learn it. And I needed to learn it. And when we worked together, I was always so grateful because you always kept me in check. And I learned so much structure from you. Right? So just because I didn't learn it doesn't mean that I couldn't learn it. So what is really interesting is, for example, in Myers-Briggs, there is this concept of cognitive stack. Cognitive stack means that depending on how you process information, you have a certain way of processing information. For example, a high I feel first. And in the past, it would be feeling, doing, feeling, doing. You can imagine, right? I see a big candle, feel excitement, press that button. Now, what was missing? The thinking part. So when you do the Myers-Briggs profile and you see your cognitive stack, then you understand the process of your thinking. That is pretty much given, right? So I can't change that. Whenever I see something, the first reaction is a feeling. That's genetic, I believe. But the part that I can change is to condition myself to not act straight away, impulsiveness. Right? So high eyes are prone to impulsiveness, and say, okay, when I have this feeling, what do I need to think? For example, really simple example, we all have been there. We are $100 short of the next round number. Let's say we have $9,900 in profit, just another $100 and we have $10,000. What do we do? Oh my God, just $100. And then we jump into a trade because it's a feeling. We want this feeling to disappear because it's like feeling, not in flow or whatever it is. And it just feels weird being just so close to a round number. Now, when I have this feeling, I know exactly what that feels like. And then I tell myself, no, you know exactly what happens when you do these trades. You end up losing $9,000 instead of making $100. And so this is when the thinking then is being intercepted between feeling and action. So you can still see my first impulse is a feeling, can't change that, but it's now my superpower because now my emotions are my emotional guidance system that tell me warning, 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 or go, go, go. And that's when you're able to distinguish between intuition and intuition. When intuition is when you just know. Your mind is not trying to convince you. It's a certain specific feeling. And it's just, that's the zone, I call it. Like Mark Douglas, trading in the zone, that's the zone for me. But when I have intuition, my mind gives me lots of reasons why I should do something or not do something. That's intuition. So that's just one example of what cannot be changed and what can be changed. And what I also believe cannot be changed is I'm naturally a detail focused person. You are more of a big picture visionary. How do I know that? You love looking at market structures. I love looking at a candle pattern. That can be trained to a certain extent. I trained myself to add big picture visionary to my processing of data. But my natural go-to, my natural reaction is being detail focused. So that's why I'm awesome at scalping, but I'm really bad at long-term trading. Don't know why I can't, like, I shouldn't say I can't. Like, if I would train myself hard enough, I'm sure I could become a momentum trend trader. But why would I? It wouldn't rock my boat. I love the fastness, right? That's the high I now. I love the fastness of the markets, of the scalping. So just a few examples, but there's plenty where I think 40% is genetic and 60% of our makeup is trained behavior.
Very interesting, of course. I know that's something that other people can definitely work on. Like if they want to have something different in their trading, they want to have different habits, they can make that work for sure. I want to go back to something you said before, which was about like in my audience, I have people who are like business owners. Maybe they've made a lot of money in some areas of their life or with their business. And then they want to get into trading. They have some set of problems. Then there's people who are maybe less fortunate, my audience too, who want to be able to make trading work. They have maybe less money to do it, and they have a tougher time. Like these two kind of people have different issues in trading. I'm sure you've noticed that before. Can we kind of go through both of them, like the people who have more money now, succeeded in life before a little bit more, and want to get into trading? Like, what do they face? Then we can talk about the other ones who are on the other side after.
Again, it's really interesting, like what kind of people choose to be business people? It's the big picture visionaries, isn't it? The entrepreneurs I'm talking about. And so when we have someone who is a business person, is an entrepreneur, and they start trading candlestick patterns, I'm like, dude, you're in the wrong place here. Not going to work for you. But they don't know that because how do most of us start out? I don't know if you were the same, but I definitely was like that. I went to the most charismatic educator that I could find and thought they're the real deal, paid them thousands of dollars. And then years later, I found out they were just a marketing machine, but they didn't actually know how to trade. So, so many influences are important that we need to look at in terms of how much life experience do you have in choosing good people. I had no life. I was so naive, right? Hence, I was attracted to the charismatic people and didn't even check what their skill set was, what their results were. I just took it, as face value. Now, and again, that's what I loved about you in the trading battle. You have proven, you have shown that you can trade. because you traded in front of, millions of people. So I can tell you a lot of educators that I contact and asked, would you like to participate in a trading battle? They're not game. They have all kinds of reasons why not. And I think every educator should be on the trading battle and trade live, or or some version of it. So it starts with choosing a great team around you, how much life experience you have, and generally speaking, people who don't have much money, they often don't have that much life experience in dealing with people and choosing a great team to learn from. Secondly, if someone comes from a disadvantaged situation, I question their relationship with money. So we need to look at money mindset. There's so much money floating around in this world. And I think it was Paul Tudor Jones who, I think Tony Robbins shared that. Paul Tudor Jones said, in my mind, money is floating around the ether. All I need to do is open the tap and the money will flow. See, that's an abundance mindset. And a lot of people who have financial restrictions, they often, funny enough, also talk about not having enough time. And I believe that's a scarcity thinking. That's a mindset issue now that needs to be resolved that an entrepreneur wouldn't have. Now, entrepreneurs, when you run a business, the dynamics are different because there's so many influencing factors. You can always blame someone else. In trading, it's always you. So that's a mindset shift for the entrepreneur where they need to look at themselves and say, hey, maybe it's not the market, maybe it's not the Fed, maybe it's me. Whereas what I see with a lot of traders who come from a background where they're restricted with money and time, they often have a low self-worth, so a low self-image. So you can already see the differences. I'm generalizing here, of course.
I might have to disagree on the time issue a little bit. I see a lot of people who have businesses who want to get into trading, and the biggest issue they have is time. Like they have to, of course, run a business on the side. They have to learn trading at the same time and make it work. So both together is really tough. Not that they manage time as badly, but that they have a lot on their plate. In that case, now that pushes them more to take maybe shortcuts, try to find ways to do things faster that might not always work or be kind of good for them as traders. So that could be also a pretty big issue.
But it's the same for the guys from a disadvantaged background
Yeah.
because they're like, I hate my life so much. I'm craving this better life. And then they're pushing as well and, making a lot of unforced errors. Yeah. But from a different motivation, same pattern of behavior. Yeah. You see, the thing is with the time, when you're an entrepreneur and you have, of course, time issues, right? We both know running a business is a big job. And the question is, and that's what you do so well, there's always a way to free up time. Always. I've got one guy, he runs his own business. He's like, I don't have time. He sends me emails so long, it takes me 10 minutes to read. Right? So there's an opportunity to structure, write in bullet points. You don't need to write in full sentences. That saves you 5 minutes here and there. And he doesn't only do it with me, he would do it everywhere. Um, idle talk. How much do you work on increasing your energy so that you need to sleep less? Right. So there's always ways, in my opinion. When someone says, I don't have enough time, you can hear again, this is describing the situation. And then I train them to say, how about saying, I don't have enough time right now. I'm looking for ways to free up time so I can devote more to my trading.
I'm thinking about the issue of delegation. A lot of people who have businesses are used to delegate tasks to other people. In trading, you can't really do that in most kind of cases. So you got to do pretty much everything by yourself. Now, how does someone who's used to giving things to other people kind of supposed to be combining all these things and learn trading it all together at the same time?
I think in my experience, they want to do it themselves. What I see with some is that they rather get a paid service than trading or learning to trade. One particular guy that I was working with, he pays for a sub-service 100 euros a month, and the guy gives him entries and exits. Now, the guy that he's buying the sub-service from is doing a great job, right? So my trader makes money, but What if he is not there? You always be dependent. And if it works for him, fine. I love trading and understanding how the markets work and bettering myself. Everything that most traders are in the market for, to better yourself and to increase your skill and to expand the boundary conditions of your thinking, to tap into a life that you never thought possible. For me, trading very much is the journey from self-hatred into self-love, to be that dramatic about it. Because when I started out, I was so angry at myself missing my entries or getting out too early or making those unforced errors, that the reason why I kept being stuck in that problem of letting my losses run and martingale into positions was really because I was so angry about myself. That just reinforced it, and I couldn't think and I couldn't make really good decisions afterwards. Now, the more I dealt with my problems and my self-image and the things that I had to learn and overcome and resolve in my life, the more I found peace within myself. And I think you can see that also through videos from a few years ago when I had stressful times, to getting to the place where I'm flawed and I do make a lot of mistakes, but I'm still at peace with myself. I get annoyed about it, but I'm not so down that I feel sick in my tummy or that I want to curl up in bed and watch Netflix for a week, which used to be the case. So that's my definition of self-love, when you find that inner peace, even if you screw up. And you know that when you screw up, all that means is, was it a mindset issue? Was it a skill set issue? Or is it a market that you don't know how to trade? And then you need to go back onto trading sim or whatever you choose and practice trading those markets. That's all there is.
I think it'd be good to expand on that just a little bit more. When you say a mindset issue versus a skill set issue, what's the difference there? How can someone kind of figure out which one that is exactly?
Like the trader I mentioned before, when he was in profit and then didn't get out, he thought it's a mindset issue because he was holding on to it. But when I asked him, what's your exit strategy? He actually didn't have one. That turned it to me into a skill set issue. Now, if I have a trader who says, I get out, that I mentioned before, at a $500 profit, no matter what, or I get out, let's say the trade went parabolic, I draw a trend line, I get out at break of trend line, but then don't get out, that's a mindset issue, because I have a clear-cut exit, but I don't do what I know I must do. So I know what to do, but I don't do what I know. Which, by the way, is a quote from Steve Ward that I stole. I just love that so much.
So skill set issue, you can for sure learn that. You can kind of study some books, some people who are good at that topic, that specific issue. What about mindset? Because you cannot just like pick up a book and then fix that issue right away.
Yeah. So in that case, what I do with my traders is I go again on Trading Sim, I recreate the trade, and they say, yeah, but I already know what's happening. And I said, you will be surprised. The same feelings will come up like in the live market environment. And then I pause and I say, tell me exactly what you're thinking, what you're feeling right now. And everything is self-defeating, self-defeating, self-defeating. Like, the trader said, yeah, but what if the trade's going to just retrace and then take off without me and go to Mount Everest? That is a thought that is completely irrelevant to trading. What if not? It's not a value add. It's not useful. It's not helpful. Nothing. So now I work with the trader on what can we replace this thought with, because that's a lie. Another trader, he had this really interesting, and he's going to be on a trading battle in a few weeks, which I'm excited about. I worked with him, so he has this thing when he gets a time restriction. For example, with COVID, a lot of times the schools were closed and the kids stay home, and then he couldn't focus on trading. And his wife would be able to watch the kids for the first hour, but then she had to go and maybe take care of her work. So he would feel, oh my God, I only have an hour. And then he would force trades that weren't there. So that's a mindset issue, scarcity thinking around time. When he had to pick up the kids from school, again, it would be like, oh my God, I don't have enough time. Again, he would force his trades. Now, his thought was, I need to get my trades in now because I don't have enough time to trade later. And I need to make money. And I said to him, you need to challenge your thoughts. That's the only thing you need to do. Now, is it really true that you need to force your trades because you don't have enough time? He said, nah, not really. And I said, why is it not true? Well, because if I miss a day, it's actually not a big dent. I mean, it's annoying and I want to trade, but if I think about it logically, it's okay to miss a day. It's not like I miss every day. I say, yeah, interesting, hey? So challenge your thoughts. Write down what you're saying to yourself. That was unconscious for him, right? He didn't know that until we paused and I said to him, what are you thinking? Just, go and do a live stream of your thoughts. And then we could deal with them. So that's where I would start. Challenge your own thoughts because 99% of them are lies. Is that really true? What is really true is that I have an hour to trade. And if I have time restrictions or not, I still need to do the same that I do every day. We really focused on the market and catch really good entries, my A plus entries. Do the same that I do every day. If there is no trade setting up in the first hour, so be it. And then practicing that thought because the old thought will keep coming up. And then you say, quiet, that is not true. I do have enough time. I have a lifetime to trade. And if I miss one day, really not a big deal. But if I go now on tilt because of that, I'm going to destroy all the good work that I did last week. And then I'm losing a year actually.
That is an awesome advice. That is really well put. So I really appreciate that. I think people will get a lot of value out of this. Now, Mandy, I know you're really, really busy. I know every time I refer you people or traders to work with you, you have just a little bit of time for them, or you have a really packed schedule because people really get a lot from your coaching and your services. So, where can people find you? Then connect with you, reach out, or in the end, work with you.
I think the best place is really Twitter. My Twitter handle is capital M for Mary, P for Peter, X for X-ray underscore trader, of course. And my website is tradingpsychology.com.au, really easy to remember. Thank you so much for having me. It's always epic conversations with you, Etienne, and I really appreciate what you are doing for the trading community.
For sure, as always, I hope people check out your work. I know you are also on YouTube putting some videos sometime. We have a huge playlist with you also that people can check it out. We'll try to link it somewhere in the corner of the video here. You guys can check it out. Go through these videos. There's a ton of them, probably like 50 or more. I didn't even count, so there's a lot there. You guys can learn from this, learn from Mandy, and of course, reach out to her in the future. Thank you, Mandy. I appreciate your time as always, and I will catch you pretty soon.